What is going on, people? Today I will be reviewing Captain America Winter Soldier in 4K Ultra HD. And I got that coming up for you next. So, Captain America the Winter Soldier just came out in 4K Ultra HD. And if you are excited to hear me talking about it, and if you like this video, guess what? I do this all the time. And the matter of fact, I'm going to be reviewing Civil War right after this. So subscribe if you know what's good for you, and if you like this video, and comment down below if you have seen this release and if you have strong feelings about it, because I know a lot of people do. And getting into the video quality here, this was actually given a 2K digital intermediate, so this is actually upscaled from 2K to 4K. And you know what? I will say that there are subtle differences between this and the Blu-ray, but some of them do mean a whole lot. Now, that Blu-ray, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, to be quite honest with you, and I'll get into that as the review goes on, but it was very sharp and had a whole lot of detail. So the sharpness here and the detail, you know, you're not going to get the biggest leap just because that was so good in that area, but there are better detail in close-ups and in battle scenes where you get the wear and tear on Cap's suit, or Black Widow's suit, or you know, Winter Soldier, and all that kind of stuff. That is where you will notice the biggest difference as far as detail goes. And as far as depth here, I do feel like depth has been given a pretty substantial bump up. And really, that Blu-ray looked kind of flat to me, and this has a lot more dimension to it. And getting into the black levels here, just because I feel like a lot of the black levels on that Blu-ray were troublesome. They were kind of too dark to me. And I felt like specifically during the beginning action scene on the boat, it was just kind of hard to see. And that's an awesome action scene. You want to see everything that's going on. So I feel like that is largely fixed here. And, you know, black levels all throughout this movie are a lot more defined, and they are deeper and richer without crushing or invading into the detail, and just letting you see a lot more into those black levels. And that is fixed here. Thank you. And that is going to give this review of the video quality a substantial bump up. And getting into the HDR, it is subtle here. And it was always going to be. You know, this movie isn't going to blast you in the face with its color palette. And it isn't supposed to be. You know, this is supposed to be a kind of like old school thriller. And when you get into those, they have a lot of like steely blues and muted color palettes. And in the matter of fact, even Cap's shield here, it's muted, and it doesn't pop like it popped in the Avengers. So what you're going to notice is more subtle differences. You know, specifically when there are explosions happening, like in the battle scene towards the middle of the movie where Cap faces off against Winter Soldier. A lot of the explosions in that action scene they have a lot more pop to them, and there are some more scenes that have a greener hue to them. That the greener hues definitely they're a lot more pronounced, and those are just all subtle ways that you can notice HDR in this movie, but it just isn't going to slap you in the face. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I do feel like A lot of people aren't going to get what they expect from this if you are expecting just to be like, hit in the face with the differences, but there are subtle differences nonetheless. And getting into the audio quality here, we are given a Dolby Atmos mix, and I just want to start off with saying that this is actually the very first Blu-ray disc when it came out that I noticed that there was a clear difference between the audio that Marvel films used to have when Avengers came out and all through Phase 1, and then when Disney took over, we get the audio mix here that on the Blu-ray that was kind of lacking. And so I wanted to step up in this, and I kind of got it. I will say that a lot of people have a lot of hate for this Dolby Atmos mix. They say it's too soft and not as aggressive. You do have to turn it up. But if you do, I feel like you will get almost exactly what you want from it. I feel like these Disney Atmos tracks have to get like their own separate rating system just because of how messed up they are. But yeah, this is a big step up from the Blu-ray as far as audio fidelity goes. This is a lot more of a dynamic mix. This feels very wide and pretty expansive, which is not what I would say about that Blu-ray mix. Action moments do hit harder. The score here hits harder. The bass response hits harder. And that is largely what I wanted out of it. I will say that height speaker work here is limited. I noticed it during the action scene in the streets with Winter Soldier, and I noticed it in the action scene in the at the end of the film in the airplane. Other than that, don't expect too much height speaker work, but the overall speaker separation here is largely improved. I like this mix, and I will say that I will always come back to Winter Soldier in 4K for this mix. I didn't notice the Atmos effect as much in this particular mix. Disney's getting better, I think. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. This is a pretty good mix. And getting into the digital copy here, this is a Movies Anywhere digital copy, which means that you can download the 4K copy on iTunes and on Vudu. And as far as special features here goes, this is the typical Disney special feature treatment. None of them are on the 4K disc, not even the audio commentary track. All of them are on the Blu-ray disc. But what you do get there is the same audio commentary that was on that original Blu-ray disc with the Russo brothers. And then you have a look at the making of this movie, a look at the action scenes in this movie, and a featurette that goes into Anthony Mackie. And that is always interesting. You get some deleted scenes. You get a fun, very short featurette about Captain America's notebook that he has, about all things that he has to catch up on in history, movies and that kind of stuff, which is awesome. And this is a decent amount of special features. I guess none of them are on the 4K disc. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. And getting into my last looks at Winter Soldier. Look, this movie is just one of those Marvel movies that really stands out because of its spy espionage vibe. I love it. I love the emotion behind this movie because of the drama that goes on. And I love Cap. This begins my love for Cap. The Russo brothers really brought Captain America to the forefront of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I can't thank them enough for that. And when you get into my final scores for Winter Soldier in 4K, you come out to a 31 out of 40. That is better than the first Avenger in 4K, and that is because they kind of stepped it up for this one. And I hope that they continue along the same way onto Civil War, because that's what's coming up next, people. I'm going to review the movie, and then I am going to review the 4K home release. And then I have to get into Alien. You guys want to hear me talk about that. So if you are excited about it, comment down below. Let me know about things that you are excited about that are going to be coming out. And subscribe down here so I can let you know when those videos come out. I thank all of you for watching. You guys are awesome. I don't even need to say it because you know it. And I will see all of you next time.